One of you guys sent me this from our friends over at Moms Demand Action, notorious anti-gun group. Quote, "There is no research to support the notion that owning a gun improves safety for women." Oh, really? Well, today, this ex-prosecutor is going to be talking all about that research from academia, from the government, you name it. I'm going to leave so much of it out just to try to get this down into a short enough video that people will watch. Let's talk about how firearms improve a woman's safety. Let's get into it. So what can I say to someone who's claiming that firearms do nothing to improve women's safety? Well, I'll say that, look, apparently there's 1.2 million defensive gun uses per year in the United States by women. About 200,000 of those 1.2 million defensive gun uses are specifically to defend against rape and sexual assault. Why do over 1 million women in America every single year trust their lives to firearms as their best tool against a bad situation, against an evil attacker? Probably because, among other things, they're aware of the statistics. Fact, women are 250% more likely to be injured if you go along with your attacker versus you use a firearm in defense of yourself. Fact, women are 400% more likely to be injured if they physically resist an attacker versus if they use a firearm. So that old myth about just go along with your attacker, you're gonna have a better outcome, all that kind of stuff. No, you're 250% more likely to be injured if you go along with your attacker versus if you use your firearm. And by the way, these same stats hold true for men. So if you're a guy watching this, you're 140% more likely to be injured if you go along with an attacker versus if you use a firearm. And you're 150% more likely to be injured if you physically resist without a gun. And the statistics are even more shocking when we take a look at sexual assault, when we take a look at sexual violence. If women offer no resistance, they simply comply, the average rate to completion for sexual assault is about 88%. Shockingly, to me, and I'm speaking as an ex-state criminal prosecutor here, if women try to rely on crying, pleading, and reasoning with their attacker in a sexual assault, the sexual assault completion percentage goes up from 88% to 96%. If you try to scream, draw attention, do something like that, the completion percentage falls to 44 to 50%. If you try to run away, and if you're fast enough, it falls again to 15%. So no resistance, we're at 88%. Screaming, we're at about 45%. Running away, we're at 15%. If you try to cry, plead, beg, and reason, you're at 96%. What about a gun? 0.1%. 0.1. Maybe that's why so many women, about 192,500 to be exact, in any given year, choose to use a firearm to scare away and end the assault that they are facing from a would-be rapist. Now, by way of background, only about 10% of women owned firearms in 1980, which has increased about 250% across the last 44 years to about 25% of US women, that's about 42 million, give or take, now own firearms as of 2024. Nearly 50%, half of first-time gun buyers, these are people who've never owned a firearm, they're buying a firearm for the first time, back in the COVID years between 2019 and 2021, were women. Nearly 50%. This momentum carried on to the years 2022 and 2024, where we saw a 13% increase in female firearm ownership. About 92% of women who own firearms cite protection as the primary reason for ownership. That compares to about 91% for men. 27% of women cite personal safety as the only reason for owning a firearm. That's compared to about 8% for men. Hey, please excuse this brief interruption to bring you a word from our sponsor, me, or more specifically, my law firm. You see, what you may not know about me is I'm not only an ex-prosecutor, criminal defense attorney, but I employ a few dozen attorneys all over the great state of Wisconsin. My firm handles criminal defense, traffic law, divorce, family law, as well as estate planning all across the dairy state. We've got different wings of different attorneys doing different things, so you don't have to have some sort of just generalist handling your case. should you decide to come in. So what's the ask? Well, look, if you've been with me for my journey of at this point about 10 years and counting, not all of them on my own YouTube channel, but about 10 years and counting of putting out free legal education content that's out there, first off, thank you for joining me and thanks for watching this video. And if all you can do is just keep watching, hitting the like button, sharing it around, commenting, thank you. And I really do mean that. However, if you want to take it one step further, please consider following the directions below, both in the description box as well as in a pinned comment down in the comment discussion field about how you can leave a 5-star review. So again, if you can do that, I tremendously appreciate it. Not only myself, but everyone else want to thank you for doing that too, because it helps us bring our mission across Wisconsin. Don't forget to stick around to the end of the video for our ever popular quote of the day. Now back to the show. Now, I know what a lot of these anti-gun groups love to say. They talk about, oh, look, you're way more likely to be injured or killed, or having a firearm in the house does this versus all the, yeah, that's if you just ignore everything else. For every accidental death, 802, 16,869, or homicide in America, 11,348, with a firearm that's totaling just under 30,000, 29,019, there are 390,000 lives. That's a 13-to-1 ratio in favor of owning guns. 390,000 lives are protected and preserved through defensive gun use. 13-to-1. And by the way, that's not a sandbag number. Or if it is, I'm actually sandbagging against guns, because I could use other statistics and other studies that actually put it closer to about 22-to-1 in favor of the fact that if you don't have a gun, you should rush out, learn the laws, get great training, understand how to use your firearm responsibly, safely, buy one, practice it, use it. I am being charitable when I'm using the 13-to-1. If you're wondering how the heck does that make sense, I'm gonna give you President Obama's 2013 Center for Disease Control study, which cited when it was examining the question of defensive firearm use in America, that there could be upwards of 2.5 million to 3 million defensive firearm uses per year across the United States. And by the way, most of those, I was speaking before as an ex-prosecutor, now I'm gonna speak as a defense attorney, most of those are never reported to the authorities. No 911 calls, none. In Milwaukee, we've got something called, I'm from Wisconsin. In Milwaukee, we've got something called ShotSpotter. It's technology where you've got all these acoustic listening devices up. It detects the sound of gunfire out in neighborhoods, some rough sides of town. The 911 call rate is about, it varies, it's about 5%. 5%. We're not talking about arrests, prosecutions, or convictions. We're talking about 911 call rate in response to gunfire outside homes in neighborhoods where people live, shop, and play. There's about 5.7 defensive gun uses in America per minute. Now keep in mind, not every defensive gun use ends in gunfire. About 91.1% of the time, not a single shot is fired when someone pulls out a firearm and uses it in self-defense. Other studies I've seen as low as 88%. So it's usually between 88% to about 91% of the time. The simple display of a firearm is enough to end the encounter. This is not about taking lives. This is not about murdering people, killing people. This is about saving lives. That's what this is about. 78.4% of defensive gun uses happen in your home or on your home property, like your yard or your garage. 9.2% of the time, defensive gun uses are happening in public. Think about shopping markets, Walmart, malls, things like that, if anyone still goes to malls. 3.2% of defensive gun uses statistically happen in the workplace where someone works. And by the way, just when we're on the topic of malls, I'm gonna point out that about 41.3% of active shooter events, that's code for public mass shootings, what we're all thinking about there, were stopped by armed civilians. Now keep in mind that there used to be a study that said that about 95%-ish of mass public shootings happen in gun-free zones. That researcher got checked by a very anti-gun publication who said, no. It's not 95% of mass public shootings happen in gun-free zones. It's like 88%. All right, fine. We'll go with the 88%. I'm just gonna point out that, by the way, outside of so-called gun-free zones where 88% of mass public shootings take place, the number of times that these shootings are stopped by armed civilians climbs to 63.5%. You see, when you're in possession of stats like this, maybe you can see the lunacy and the idiocy of memes like this, Remember, follow the science. We're going to close with an ever popular quote of the day. If you enjoyed this video, let me know down in the comment section below. I always love seeing your comments. Hit that like button, share it around. Make this video go viral, folks. Every single time you see some sort of sick anti-gun, anti-life meme like that, be sure to post this up or someone else's video. I don't care, but push back. Push back. Our quote of the day, we actually have two. This one comes from Annie Oakley. Felt appropriate. Quote, "I would like to see every woman know how to handle firearms as naturally as they know how to handle babies." And if you're not into the whole motherhood thing, that's okay. I got you. Another modern version of this is, quote, "The firearm makes a woman equal to a man, and it is better to have one and not need it than to need one and not have it." I appreciate you sticking with me. I look forward to the comments on this. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. If you enjoyed this one, please feel free to check out some of our other great content, and we'll see you in the next one.